Good morning and a warm welcome to one and all present over here, teachers. Thank you so much for joining on another Super Sunday workshop. And this time we are touching the 111th workshop on the topic of values education. I hope everybody is able to see me and I hope everybody is able to hear me as well. So today's session is going to be something that's given maximum importance as per the National Education Policy 2020, focusing on a term called as values and dispositions, and then the skills, and then the knowledge with respect to the current curriculum that we are into, especially CBSE on dominance right now in a country like India. It's very important for making sure the content universalizes certain concepts under attitude, which is basically values and dispositions. In fact, we can talk about what should be taught and what should not be taught in a class. With respect to history, geography, social, English, maths, and science. But something which will be universally the same is going to be something related to truth, something related to honesty, something related to punctuality, something related to being loyal, all these aspects. Now, what really interests me is like during this research, we found that even these are not universal. There is something called as cultural influence, and there's something called as individualist mindset and then collectivist mindset. And what do we really mean about it? All these things we're going to discuss in today's session. An important area, values and dispositions. Today's session is going to pave a fantastic way for all the teachers and how do we really instill this quality of values, morals, ethics, principles and whatnot among the students during our regular classes. Let's understand this little by little, trying to break down things in a very simple term but without using any big jargons as such. Is really moral different and values different, or moral values are both one and the same? We'll try to understand all these things one by one, teachers. Many of us today will also have a lot of misconceptions getting cleared. Misconceptions that we've been thinking that this is how way of life is supposed to be, and probably I was wrong, or I was always right, but I did not know that I was always right, something like that. So there are a lot of times when we do certain actions that gives us a lot of freedom. Like I did something and I'm really happy about it, even though it is against the rules. I think you would have come across such kind of situations. Sometimes it's like following the rules, but still not being very happy about it. Yeah, it gives you a sense of guilt actually. All these are governed by our value system, a system that we form, and this system gets formed based on the environmental factors over a sustainable period of time. Sustained period of time, in fact. I'm going to talk about all these things one by one, teachers. Let's quickly start the session for today. Thank you so much for joining on this particular session, teachers. You're all there on a vacation. Like it's I'm pretty sure like most of the countries having the summer vacation. And at this particular point, if there is anybody in the school right now, probably your cycle of academic year is a little different. Or if it is a compulsion of the school, then I really feel empathetic for you. Or sympathetic for that matter. Let me quickly share my screen and talk about today's session. Today's reflection form is going to be quite interesting. You might think so and so is the right answer, but right after the session, your values are going to be completely changed. Your idea or your perception is going to be completely changed. Let's understand this now with a set of presentation. For that, here we go. I think you're able to see the screen in 3, 2, and 1. Great. By the way, happy World Laughter Day. Yeah, why is it World Laughter Day? I would request you to please research about it. But yeah, let's quickly go. Let's quickly go. Values must be caught, not taught. Oh, wow. That's the interesting way of looking at it. Thank you, Vijay ma'am. Let's go forward. Let's go forward. So the first thing is I would like to talk about dilemmas. Look at this. Look at this. Have you ever, do you give extra marks to weak students to encourage them? Have you come across a situation? Question number one. Try to answer this on a chat, and you don't have to. It's completely up to your choice. If you want to rename yourself with something else and then do it, you can still do it. Have you ever given extra marks to weak students to encourage them? See, everything is very clear. So some people say yes, some people say no. Okay. Sometimes, not all the time. Okay, it depends on your mood. Something like that. Already I'm irritated with my life, and do you really expect extra marks from my side? No. Or have you cut the marks of the students who actually deserve full, but just because you're upset that you've cut their marks? I've done that many times. Okay. You can say no. Okay, let's go to the next question. Let's go to the next question. Let's go to the next question. I know. Do you report your best colleague friends. Now, I'm talking about you're there in an office setup, probably in a school. You have a friend who's teaching another subject. Basically, she's another teacher, a colleague, but best friend, something like that. Not that you know her or him before the school, right? After coming to the school, you came to know about this person and you're really very close. It's like, do you report your best colleague friends' work related to mistake to the management? You can say yes or no. Come on. She has done some really big mistake and it is supposed to be reported to the management. Forget about the matter where you talk to her, say yes. Let's not get into the process. Everybody can follow their own way of doing it, but the question is simple, direct. Do you go and report it to the management? You know what, if your colleague is actually attending this session and you're also part of the session, it's very important for you to say no. Otherwise it's going to be really difficult scenario tomorrow once the school reopens. Okay, many people say no, right after that, I've got the next question. I really like this question because I keep getting this kind of scenario. Do you recommend your close friend for a school job when others are more qualified? Is that the case? Happens? No, no. Come on. Come on, it's quite a subjective thing. It's like, yeah. In my case, I always do that. I'm like, okay, I know my close friend is not really capable right now, but let him join. I want him to be joined, and once he joins or she joins, I would like to work with them and develop the skill sets. We could have our justifications, right? Yes, let him try. Exactly. If she has a caliber, not qualification, yes. Oh, caliber and qualification. Oh, that's the confusion word. Okay. At least try. That's a good point, Devi ma'am. Okay. Next question is very, very interesting. And don't answer this question. Do you leak or share the questions of the board question paper indirectly to the students before the exam, intending for a good future with good scores? I'll repeat it. You have to say no to this. Just don't say yes. We have got CBSE officials, NCRT officials right now attending the session. So be really careful about that. Better say no. Do you leak or share the questions of the board question paper indirectly to the students before the exam, intending for a good future? See how beautifully they framed the question. That intention is good. Intending for a good future with good scores. Now, some people say no, and some people say no, but they know they did that. It's like there in the mental picture. I mean, many times I've come across a scenario where my teachers have suggested read this question. It's a very important question. And right after going to the exam, the same question comes over there. Now it could be really the experience of the teacher playing a role over there, or watching the or seeing the question paper before the exam, something like that. We do share what had come in earlier exams, and that's a smart way of answering this question, Charanjit ma'am. Very good. Score is not the only feature. Oh wow, question itself is wrong. Very good point. Okay, let's go forward. Let's go forward. I really like that question. Now next is very interesting. Do you make your lesson plans using chat gpt for namesake, assuming that it is just a formality? Everybody has to say yes to this. Come on. Sometimes you really say no. You've got your HOD present over here in this class. You're using art integration lesson plan cannot be a formality. Yeah, I know. It's just a question to put all of us in a spot. No, Vasundhara ma'am, that's a good question actually. No, I will use my mind. Okay, not at all. Fantastic. No. Yes, sometimes most teachers have come across like, I know whatever I'm writing on the lesson plan now for the month of September or October, there are a lot of chances that 70% of the time I'll not even follow it. Because in that month, I do not even know if the school is going to work offline or online. To that extent, things are unstable in the world. How can you really expect to write a lesson plan that can be strictly followed? Anyways, that's a very good point, actually. Very good question. Do you have a soft corner for your ward present in your class and ignore the incomplete assignment for everyone similar in the class? Just imagine you gave a homework and your child did not do it. And just because your child did not do it and she's part of your class or he's part of your class, you don't ask the homework for the whole class. Do you do that? Okay. I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something. My father does that. He used to be my class teacher, and whenever I didn't do the homework, he didn't ask about that to the whole class. Though I felt really happy about it at that particular moment, I feel a little ashamed. Both of us feel ashamed, both my father and myself. But the point is, oh, you're more strict with your word. That's how you say. Okay, that's how you say. Don't say that you have a soft corner and all. Come on. Okay, I'm just kidding, ma'am. It could be the case. It could really be the case. I completely agree. However, yeah, I was kind of bad or naughty at that particular point. But anyways, coming to the point, all these points, there are two things that can happen. We decide something based on these questions that we come across in our everyday life. I'll repeat it. These questions lead to a decision making. You have to decide something. And these decisions can be governed under two areas of happiness and sadness, or uh, guilt and satisfaction, something like that. Suppose if I talk about guilt and satisfaction, now satisfaction as a positive attribute, suppose if there is an answer to this question, which you have done, you've decided something, and if that particular decision making took you towards the guilt, that means whatever you have done somewhere according to your value system is wrong, and knowingly you did that. Unknowingly no, and knowingly you did that. At the same time, sometimes the scenario is you do something even if it is against the rules and regulations prescribed in that particular environment, but it gives you a lot of happiness. That means you're really satisfied with that particular decision making. It happens. How are these thought process actually changed? Now this is the place where values education comes into picture. So the terms, like, I'm coming to the next slide, there are many questions. Every day we undergo dilemmas, but somehow we decide something and keep moving forward. Yeah, decision has to happen. The decisions on these dilemmas are governed in us by three important areas of our logical system. First one is called as values and morals, though they are a little bit different. Will for the sake of the convenience of 1 hour of values education, we're going to consider values and morals to be very similar only for this particular. It's like an assumption right now, but they are not. Second is the principles, and the third is ethics. These are the three areas under which everything gets revolved around. Now, to get a quick understanding on the same, let's have a single slide approach of everything with some examples. So I hope this is a little clear, but let's see. Values is basically what we believe is important, which is completely with respect to influence of an individual, a family, or maximum by a culture. That's the reason there are times when we do something in our areas, and if it's done exactly the opposite in the other area, you start blaming the area itself. The countries like so and so are mad. They do this practice. Why do you say that? Because you don't do that practice and you find that to be normal. So your values are coming somewhere over there. Similarly, right after that, there's something called as morals, which is very close to values. What is right or wrong based on values? Now, this is completely not only individual driven, but also society driven. Now, this society, when I talk about, it is also the influence of the parents. Just because a parent supports a political party, the children of the same family start supporting the same party. Something like that. Now, yes or no, true or false, is that a good thing or a bad thing is a next area. That is called as the principles, which is basically the rules and regulations which are universal in nature. You can't really go against it. You can't really go against it. In fact, once you try to go against it, it's like somehow the system will try to bring you back to the normal. And you know what? Based on the principles and the next important area called as ethics, the judgment is decided, the justice is provided. Now, whenever we talk about law as a system, it is not dependent on just morals and values. It is dependent on principles and ethics. So what do you mean by this? The ethics is the system or framework for making decisions when moral values, morals, and principles clash with each other. So whenever we talk about a school system, an organization for that matter, the ethics has to be very clearly mentioned. That means in this particular office, even though you have got your own value system, you need to follow these rules and regulations. This is how you're supposed to dress yourself, this is how you're supposed to talk to the people. Even though it is against your own value system, you're part of this system right now, you better follow the ethics. Every organization will come up with ethics in a manner so that there is no clash. For example, when we talk about a value or a moral where we say that you need to be truthful to yourself and to the others, this is truthfulness, basically a value or a moral. However, there is another value or a moral called as you should be very loyal to your friend, really loyal to your friend. Friendship is all about loyalty, right? Now, there is a problem over here. Your friend committed a mistake, and you are in a position to report this to the higher authorities. This mistake is related to something at a professional workplace. What would you do? Would you follow the rule number one, stating, or moral number one, stating that you need to be truthful and just complain about your friend? Or else, in the second scenario, it is like you want to follow the moral of being loyal to your friend and hide this from the management. Think about it. Now, this is called as the moral dilemma. The moment moral dilemma comes into picture, ethics come into play. So the moment you have the clashes, ethics will come and tell, in this particular case, friendship is always outside the office. You better keep your friendship right outside. Inside this premises, follow the ethics. So ethics is like a solution to the clashes. Something like that. Now I'll going to put you in another difficult spot. Just imagine this. After a long time, your mother is visiting you, or you are visiting your mother, and you ask your mother about your favorite, say, puri sabji, yeah paratha or something like that, or idli dosa for that matter, or a doklas. I hope you understood. So you try to ask this question, mom, please make this dish. This is my favorite dish when I used to be there with you in the school. Now that I'm married, that I miss those, can you please make some for me and give? Now your mom is really excited about it. She's quite emotional about it, and she does the best dokla or dosa or puri, and she comes and serves you in the plate. Unfortunately, in outburst of emotions out there, something is wrong with the dish, and the dish is not really tasting good. The dish is not really tasting good, or your taste buds got completely changed to the new setup. It could be the case. What would you tell your mother? She's asking, how is the dish? Are you going to say that, mom, this is not at all good? You missed your charm, you missed your skill sets. Or are you going to say that, no, mom, it's really delicious. You brought me back my old days. What are you going to say here? It's going to be really difficult task. See, when emotions come into picture, that's why Benjamin Bloom said that the most important attribute of a learning process is not the knowledge and skills. It's actually the attitude. It's not the cognitive and psychomotor domain. It's actually the affective domain. So the mastering affective domain is more important over here than mastering the cognitive and psychomotor domain. And that's what makes a culture beautiful. We'll talk about it in detail. So, yeah, it's really yummy, delicious. Lion make her happy. This is just because it's your mom. Just put, instead of your mom, just put your husband or mother in law. How about that? Even if it is delicious, you're going to say it is pathetic, something like that. I'm just exaggerating the scenario, teachers. I hope you don't mind on that. So, otherwise, oh yeah, what's the new ingredient you've used? Some of you are literally imagining that right now, and I think playing that on your mind, if I'm not wrong, and you're kind of happy about it, right? So this particular decision of the regularity being like, it's not really good, but still appreciating for the efforts that your mother has taken. You miss those days, right? So it gives you a lot of satisfaction and not the guilt. In the other way, in the other scenario, if you go and report about your friend to the management, and you talk about, really ill about your own friend, saying that she was actually wrong because you're following the ethics over there, then there is going to be a sense of guilt in you. So both the cases, right or wrong, is completely based on your value system. Beautiful, right? So values education is one of the most important area to be instilled among the students without really advising them what to follow, what not to follow. It should not be like a boomer advice. I'll talk about that as well a little bit. So a little later. Concept, let's understand values, principles, and ethics. Values and morals considering to be nearly the same in this particular scenario or session today. What you believe is important, basically that's what it is. It's completely as per your system. This is what you think is right. Right after that, you've got the principles, fundamental rules that guide the behavior that you have learned over the period of time. Next is ethics, framework to evaluate right and wrong actions. For example, the law book is like an ethics to a particular country, something like that. Yeah, nice, right? Right after that, the focus is personal or cultural priorities for values, universal truth or moral laws for principles, and ethics is moral decision making in context. Like, what is the scenario? I need the evidence for whatever you've done, something like that. So, driven by emotions, upbringing, and culture, values. It also has got an example of compassion, success, discipline. All these are like your own attribute of character. Then principles is basically reason, logic, moral philosophies. Many people have spoken about it. Justice, integrity, accountability, these are all coming under principles. And next, right after that, ethics, society, profession, philosophy. Ethics doesn't care about who you are, how good you were all the time. Today you were bad, so you're going to get punished. Something like that. That's ethics. Teaching truthfully, not discriminating. What's really important over here for us to understand as teachers, the clarity that we get in what to decide is extremely influenced only with ethics, because it's clearly mentioned what's to be done, what not to be done. However, the foggy area of what should we do or what should we not is completely driven by values and morals, and that is the place where emotions come into picture. Ethics do not really care about emotions. So what would you prioritize? I'm a very emotional person. If I have to talk about my opinions over here, I'm a very emotional person. I'm always prioritizing emotions over ethics. I prioritize emotions over ethics. This is my opinion. So you could talk about it, you could think about it, or this particular priority might change depending upon the scenario where you're in. In my school, I look like a robot. I am a robot. I don't care about any emotions. I am strict. I strictly follow, ethics. But at my home, I'm a soft-hearted person. I keep laughing. I smile at every insult that I get from my family members. I'm really happy to live in this particular family. I give a lot of importance to emotions. That could be the scenario. So depending on the culture, the society, the environment, all of these keep changing. What's really important is understanding the differences. Once a teacher understands the difference between the values and dispositions with ethics and principles, then instilling the same in the students is like the students can catch it well, as somebody very nicely put. So values inspire, principles guide, ethics decide. Nice, no? Yeah, written by ChatGPT, by the way. What I care about. Values is basically what I care about. Principles is what I should do consistently. Ethics is how I decide the right action, especially when values conflict. Now, all these things has to be put in a certain order for people to really understand, especially the teachers. For that, there are multiple theories, but right now, there is a theory on something called as Lawrence Kohlberg's moral development theory. It's heavily influenced by the Piaget's theory of cognitive development. Let's not get into the technicalities right now, but this particular video will give you a very good understanding on how the moral is actually developing among us. Nice video. I would request everybody to watch it. I hope this computer sound is shared. Here we go.
Lawrence Kohlberg's theory claims that our development of moral reasoning happens in 6 stages. The stages themselves are structured in 3 levels: pre-conventional, conventional, and post-conventional. To understand this better, imagine a conflict at school. There is a fight in the schoolyard. 2 ninth graders are beating up Tom. Those who watch the fight are at different stages of moral development. Let's see what they do and how they justify their behavior. At stage 1, we make moral judgments based on obedience and punishment. Finn's sense of good or bad is directly linked to whether he gets punished or not. Finn sees what is happening to his friend and wants to help, but he doesn't because he is afraid the teacher may punish him if he gets caught fighting. He asks himself, how can I avoid punishment? At stage 2, we are motivated by self-interest. Mary decides to intervene and help Tom. She knows that she might get punished, but she also knows that she could become a victim herself someday. If she helps Tom now, he might help her in the future. She is asking herself, what's in it for me? At stage 3, interpersonal accord and conformity guide our moral judgment. Betty sees the fight and wants to intervene, but when she realizes that all the others are just watching, she decides not to get involved. She wants others to see that she is a good girl who is conforming with the ethics of the community. She asks herself, what do others think of me? At stage 4, we value authority and want to maintain social order. When the teacher sees the group fighting, he immediately steps in and shouts, "Stop! Fighting at school is forbidden." He feels that, above all, it is important to follow the rules, otherwise chaos breaks out. He feels it is his duty to uphold the rules that sustain a functioning society. He asks himself, how can I maintain law and order? At stage 5, we understand rules as a social contract, as opposed to a strict order. Jessie, who watches from afar, is not sure how she feels about this. To her, rules make sense only if they serve the right purpose. Obviously, the school rules prohibit fighting, but maybe Tom deserves to finally learn his lesson. Just yesterday, he punched a young girl from grade 1. She asks herself, does a rule truly serve all members of the community? At stage 6, we are guided by universal ethical principles. All those involved now have to face the headmaster. He first explains the school rules and why they exist. He then clarifies that rules are valid only if they are grounded in justice. The commitment to justice carries with it an obligation to disobey unjust rules. The headmaster's highest moral principle is compassion. He believes that all people should learn to understand each other's viewpoints and that they don't feel alone with their feelings. He asks, what are the abstract ethical principles that serve my understandings of justice? At the pre-conventional level, Finn is driven by fear and Mary by self-interest. Both judge what is right or wrong by the direct consequences they expect for themselves and not by social norms. This form of reasoning is common among children. At the conventional level, Betty responds to peer pressure, and the teacher follows the rules. Their morality is centered around what society regards as right. At this level, the fairness of rules is seldom questioned. It is common to think like this during adolescence and adulthood. At the post-conventional level, Jessie knows that things are complicated because individuals may disobey rules inconsistent with their own morality. The headmaster follows a universal ethical idea, at complete disconnect with what society thinks or the rules say. To him, everything is solved through compassion. The right behavior, in his opinion, is therefore never a means to an end, but always an end in itself. Not every person reaches this level. The American psychologist Lawrence Kohlberg based his work on Piaget's theory of cognitive development. In order to confirm his theory of stages of moral development, Kohlberg interviewed boys between the ages of 10 and 16. He analyzed how they would justify their decision when confronted with different hypothetical moral dilemmas. We will now present to you the most famous moral dilemma Kohlberg presented to his students. Let's see what you would do. The Heinz Dilemma. A woman was on her deathbed. There was only one drug that the doctors thought might save her. The druggist that made that particular medicine sold it for 10 times the price of the production costs. The sick woman's husband, Heinz, was poor and could not afford to buy the drug, not even with the financial help of his friends. Heinz then asked the pharmacist to sell it to him for half the price, but he refused. To save the life of his wife, Heinz broke into the man's laboratory and stole the medicine. Now tell us, should Heinz have stolen the drug? Would it change anything if Heinz didn't love his wife? What if the person dying was not his wife, but a stranger? Should the police arrest the druggist for murder if the wife had died? Please write your answers and their justifications in the comments below.
So that's Sprout Schools, a fantastic YouTube channel to learn about theories of education. In case if anyone is interested in learning all these things in a very good animated, simple animated manner, Sprouts is a fantastic channel. If you're already subscribed to it, that means that's really great. So I really love it. So now let's come back to the Heinz dilemma. So Heinz dilemma is all about a scenario where his wife is sick and he needs to get the medicines. He goes to the pharmacy where or the laboratory, wherever it is, and the medicine seems to be quite expensive and the person is not really giving him. He's not able to afford it. Let's assume that. And when we talk about him collecting the money and still submitting it, no, he's not getting the medicine. So he takes the decision of breaking into the pharmacy and then trying to get the medicine so that he can go and save his wife. Now, it is not about the after scenario of his wife got saved or not. That's a different question. Now, breaking the laboratory over here at this particular point, is that right or not is the question. And this is called as Heinz dilemma. So Heinz dilemma was responded by people according to these 6 stages, whatever stages they were in, based on that particular stage, they were trying to respond. If you're worried about the punishments, that means you shouldn't have done that. The people said that you shouldn't do, you're nothing in front of the law. The people who are at the next level, at conventional level of prioritizing the morals and values, standing up for others, they were the ones, it's absolutely fine to steal it. That's fine. Like they were not ready to understand your scenario. Why should you understand their rules and scenarios? Something like that. So it's all about the question that you ask yourself in a very difficult dilemma situation, you know, and then end of the day, your value system takes over. Why are we talking about this so many times? We're talking about this so many times for one more reason, that we've all experienced a similar scenario. Okay, justified to steal in this case. Stealing is wrong under any circumstance. See, right after that, Lavanya and Nayantara has got different approach. He's justified. Okay, samaptika. That's good. Okay, so you read about Heinz dilemma. It's a quite a famous theory out there. But this is greatly influenced with one important area that you are already aware about, and that is, let me show my screen once more. Here we go. So, becoming comfortable with multiple similar decisions over the period of time forms an habit that might be assumed by an individual as an ideal decision making for similar circumstances for life. I'll repeat it. I'll repeat it. Let's consider Heinz for that matter. Heinz is able to establish that. Whatever he has done is right. Somehow, let's assume it's done. Justice is given to him, he's not wrong. Now, that means Heinz is under the impression that whatever he has done right now can lead him to righteousness even in the future. So he's not going to follow the rules in the future. And he's going to be under the belief system that whatever he's been doing so far, with whatever attitude that he is doing, is always right. Most of us are living in that kind of a dream. We believe whatever we do is absolutely right, thinking that whatever we did, like the same thing that we did in the past, we got a positive outcome of it. So we think, oh, let me continue this. For example, an exam scenario where a child was cheating in grade 6 for the first time and found that he got a little extra marks, and the teacher is appreciating him. You've done a very good job. This time you got a little more marks. The teacher doesn't know that he has actually cheated in the exam. Now this child is becoming happy. Now child is becoming happy, not able to understand the future or the broader picture of it, and he continues the same because he actually kind of succeeded in grade 6. He goes to grade 7, does the same, get appreciated. Grade 8, he does the same, get appreciated. Grade 9, something amazing happens. He's caught. Even if when he's caught, he's not able to realize his mistake. Why? Because he has been exposed to doing a mistake so many times and getting a positive outcome, that for him to unlearn the habit of happiness after getting something really nice by doing something wrong, which he thinks is not wrong, is kind of dangerous, which is not allowing him to accept his mistake in grade 9. I think you're able to realize or understand what I'm trying to say. So it's like you keep doing something regularly, that becomes a habit. And we believe that our habit is the best habit in the world. Yeah, and that gets evolved and revolved with multiple learnings in the future. Some people realize whatever they have done in their life at the age of 50 was absolutely wrong, and they change the system, and it's completely fine. Just because they didn't get the right direction or right, I would say, reroute or something like that, they think or they believe it is right. And most people, live their life and die thinking whatever they've been doing is right, but it was actually wrong according to the principles and ethics. Very deep. Now, why are we talking about this? Because of this particular area. This particular area is basically Benjamin Bloom's taxonomy, affective domain. A very important point. Whenever we talk about values and dispositions in the classroom, it's very important for all the teachers to realize how does it actually get formulated. Formulated is something like that. Every time when a child is getting exposed to a certain habit, good or bad, whatever it is, that's called as reception. Receiving, receiving, getting influenced from the surrounding. It could be an attitude of laughing. You go to the school, everybody's cheered up in the morning. Principal is wishing everyone in the most happiest form of her expressions. And people are like, wow, that's what a principal is like. And people are really happy about that particular welcome, and they're like receiving it regularly. That is kind of going to reflect right after that. When you go back home, you're kind of going to repeat that. Your family is happy about it right now. Like the moment you go to the class, you're happy. The moment you go to home, again the people are happy looking at you happy. Something like that. That's called as response. So receiving is an environmental factor. Response is your own behavior. Now the beautiful part about both receiving and response is you start prioritizing certain actions. That means is like smiling at all scenarios absolutely right? No, right? No, something like that. And suppose if you feel that it is always right, you prioritize smiling all the time on one above something else. It is just like asking the children, who do you like the most, or which environment do you like the most? Do you like your classroom scenario of grade 6A, or do you like 6B, something like that? Or do you like the school, or do you like the home? Something like that. So the students will be able to prioritize a certain area or a scenario based on their emotions. Now that is called as value system. Now once the value system is properly arranged, that's called as organization of your thought process. There is a scenario where you have to choose something according to your value system. Whatever is organized on the top, you would prioritize that first, and multiple organizing leads to your formation of a character. So that's why it is called as affective domain. Affective domain: receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, characterizing. The number of adverbs or verbs over here is comparatively lesser than what you have in cognitive domain, but still this is more effective. So I really appreciate it, like the people, Benjamin Bloom, and the people working with him at that particular time, and even I think in 2001 this was again rewritten multiple times. It still stands true, and this definitely follows the hierarchy. Similarly, when we have to break a habit or something like that, we need to figure out where the child or the person is right now. Break a habit in the sense you're not doing something really right. You're emotionally driven like anything. You're already pulled into that wrong doing or habit so much that you're not able to come out. That means you're probably there at organizing or characterizing. So I need to first touch your organizing and try to break that, and then probably valuing, and then probably responding, and then receiving. That's why people say that remove the distractions away from your life. If mobile phone is distracting you, that means make sure you probably buy another mobile phone which has just got the keypad or something like that. So it's just a evolutionary aspect of a habit. It's not that easy. If there is any counselor or I would say a clinical psychologist or a psychiatrist attending this particular session, please back me up with this point if I'm right or not. Let's go forward. Let's go forward. Let's go forward. In fact, one important area that we began the session with is with respect to important term called as collectivism and individualism. Now, when we talk about collectivism, it's completely dependent on a culture. Some culture makes sure that whatever you have, whatever you do, it's not because of you. It's because of the people around you and you yourself. Maybe you're the driving person, but whatever you are today, it's because of the influence of various other people. So whatever decisions that you take, it's not going to be based on your choice. It's going to be a collectivist choice. I'm not talking about democracy over here. Democracy could also play a role over here, but the point is the whole culture talks about, the whole society talks about it. For example, in this particular document of Springer Nature Link, that this journal spoke about Western countries like America and Canada, including UK here as well in European nations. They are into individualism. They focus on themselves as an individual, one person. Have I taken care about my health insurance or car parking or my home, whatever it is? It's like I need to be secure. If I'm secure, then I think I can take care of the other people, something like that. But people in China or Japan or Singapore or Malaysia, India up to a certain extent, it is collectivism. It's where people talk about you might have to sacrifice certain areas of your values and morals just because that's benefiting your whole culture, your whole society. So the point is the values and dispositions that we're talking about, it's a huge area of exploration where it is not about your mind alone. It is always about the people around you as well. Could be the case. So this particular important information I would like to conclude with no, not dictatorship, ma'am. Let's not get confused with that. That's another session, another topic. I would like to play this very important video, which will give you an idea of values getting prioritized right now. Look at this. Look at this. I would like to play the video. Please watch this.
You there, second desk, blue jacket. What is your name?
My name is Alexis.
Alexis, please leave my lecture room. I don't want to see you at one of my lectures ever again.
I don't understand.
I am not going to ask a second time. Thank you. Why are there laws? What are laws for? Anyone?
Social order?
To protect the person's personal rights. so that you can rely on the government.
Justice?
Thank you. Tell me, was I unfair to your classmate just now? Indeed I was. So, why didn't any of you protest? Why didn't any of you try and stop me? Why didn't you want to prevent this injustice? You see, what you have just learnt, you wouldn't have understood in 1,000 hours of lectures unless you lived it. You didn't say anything because you weren't affected yourself. And this attitude speaks against you and against life. You think it doesn't concern you, so it's none of your business. Well, I'm here to say, if you don't help bring about justice, then one day you too may experience injustice, and there will be nobody there to stand before you. Truth and justice lives through us all, and we must fight for it. Because in life and work, I mean, we often live next to each other, but not with each other. We console ourselves that the problems of others are nothing to do with us, none of our business. And we go home glad at night that we're spared, but it's about standing up for each other. Every day an injustice happens in business, sport, or on the tram. Relying on someone else to take care of it is not good enough. It is our duty to be there for others, to speak up for others when they cannot. I am here to teach you the power of your voice. I want you to learn critical thinking to empower you to stand up for what is right, even if it means going against what everyone else is doing. Let's begin.
Another interesting video on choosing to be besides another fellow human being. End of the day, all these values, morals, ethics, principles are somewhere driven by the human being's emotions. We know what's right and what's wrong internally. We know that's how been brought up, and that's like it need not be just among us as an individual. It could be the family, but multiple families living in an apartment or a society contributes to one bigger group, and that bigger group in multiple areas constitutes to something called as culture of that particular region or something like that. And this cultural ethos has to be imbibed among all of us, making sure that there is a proper alignment between values, morals, principles, and ethics. Now, this particular session, values education, was mainly taken up for one of the important events that shattered India with respect to the Pahalgam attacks, and that's the reason we thought we should speak about values and ethics at this particular point. Teachers over here are, having the control of at least, even if I calculate, 40 students per teacher over here. We've got nearly 3,000 teachers participating every Sunday in one way or the other. Just imagine the impact that the teachers can create among the students. There should not be any bias. There should not be any instilling of opinions, but still making sure that the people know about it and talk about it. So that is the reason this particular session is very, very important and dear to me. In fact, when we talk about governance of a particular ethics or the law in itself, it is made for the people over here, and if the people themselves are getting affected for following a certain rule and regulations, why don't we amend it? Just the open-ended question, teachers, for you to put in front of the students. So that brings me to the end of the session, teachers. Thank you so much for being there. I hope there was a simple understanding on what these terminologies actually mean, but this is quite a detailed topic. I would request you to start from Benjamin Bloom's affective domain that will lead you to one step to another. Kohlberg is another base point from where you can start on what's moral and value development among an individual. So looking at that, you can continue. Remember, these points are not really connected to emotions. There will be another Super Sunday workshop eventually connecting emotions and ethics. Until then, thank you so much. It was great interacting with one and all. I would like to meet you again in another Sunday with another Super Sunday workshop with an interesting topic, hopefully. Until then, thank you so much and Jai Hind. Thank you. Thank you so much, teachers. Thank you. Thank you, Sujata ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nirmala ma'am. Thank you so much. Vaidehi ma'am, thank you. Thank you. Have a great Sunday. Spend time with your family. Have a Super Sunday, teachers. The questions in the reflection form are quite interesting today. Confusing and easy. Try to understand it and try to answer it. Thank you, Samaptika ma'am. I really like your name. Oh, what's that? Francina? Is that a spelling mistake? But that's nice. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, Ruby ma'am. Aruna ma'am, thank you so much. Manisha ma'am, please write an email to swati@superteacher.in. Thank you, Sulba ma'am. Thanks for being here. Priya ma'am, thank you so much. Thank you, Pooja ma'am. In order to remember the learned concepts, the best way to do is talk about it to someone. Yeah, if possible, try to talk to your husband or your father-in-law or mother-in-law or your wife for that matter, or your children if they listen to you on what you learned today. Anakam. Thank you. Thank you, Siddhartha sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Aarti ma'am, Vinny ma'am. There is a query you can put on the chat. Shivakumari ma'am, thank you so much. Make sure you fill the reflection form today itself. Only then you're eligible for the certificates. There's going to be a series of events happening physically in various locations, beginning from June 2nd in Hyderabad. We'll talk about what exactly it is very soon. Uh, it'll happen most probably in IIT Hyderabad or T Hub, related to continuous professional development programs. Yeah, I would request you to all participate if you get the information. I'll announce on the same even in the Super Sunday workshop. Yes, you'll get a certificate, Vasundhara ma'am. Please fill up the reflection form coming on the chat. Thank you, Pooja Mehra ma'am. Stuti ma'am, thank you. Mohammed sir, thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Pushpalata ma'am. So good to see you in the sessions, Pushpalata ma'am, all the time. Suganya ma'am, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Adil sir. Thank you, Ramya ma'am. Sure, Saujanya ma'am. I'll Swati@superteacher.in. SWATHI. Swati@superteacher.in. The session presentation is there on the chat. I'm sharing the complete presentation, which has the videos as well, in case if anybody would like to, can copy the link and keep it. Anybody can view it. So you'll be able to find the videos as well. Okay, Rabia ma'am, for sure. Let's meet. Good, Sukhdina ma'am. Thank you. Thank you. Seshavataram sir. Thank you so much. Uh, Sushmita ma'am, yes. There are a few sessions on the counseling aspects, and we call some experts to talk about it. It's like I interview them in the session and we do it. So please look into the YouTube channel to know more about it, ma'am. There are certain videos which are already done. Thank you, Seema ma'am, for the blessings. Vasundhara ma'am will let you know about offline sessions in Hyderabad, Bangalore, Indore, Mumbai, Pune. This time I'm going to travel everywhere. Let's see. Parna ma'am, I would request you to please write an email to swati@superteacher.in. You should get a response for it. Okay. Taruna ma'am, good to see you. Thank you. Anita ma'am, thank you so much. Yes, Ravya ma'am. Thank you, Nisha ma'am. Sheila ma'am, thank you so much. Great. SWATHI. I am just putting it on the chat. Chalo, I'll see you again in the next Super Sunday workshop. Until then, have a good time. All the very best. Spend very good time with your family in your vacations. Bye, everyone.